In this video, I am going to talk about rabbi wars and the controversy that is going on YouTube with rabbis that are having public disputes with each other on YouTube. Now, this is a topic that I have been avoiding for quite a while, as I don't really want to get involved with it, neither do I really want to mention it. But because I am receiving a lot of comments in my comment section on my videos about these controversies that is going on and people wanting to know what is my opinion on it, I have decided to make a video to make everything clear for people that want to understand what is actually happening here. Now, a lot of people have commented on my comment section below in a lot of my videos asking me how can I follow certain rabbis on YouTube that publicly disagree with each other. And it's true, I do follow various rabbis online on YouTube by subscribing to their channel, and I do watch quite a few of their videos. I also have quite a few videos of these rabbis that are involved in this controversy on my own YouTube channel, and thus many people see that as public support for certain rabbis and not public support for other rabbis. And many people want to know, how can that be? Now, the most recent dispute is between Rabbi Yaron Reuven and Rabbi Asher Meiser. And they are having a dispute about various subjects, the main subject being that Rabbi Reuven is unhappy with the way that Rabbi Asher Meiser is doing conversion. And then some claims were made by Rabbi Asher Meiser that Rabbi Yaron Reuven is charging for conversions, and Rabbi Yaron Reuven has disputed this with another public video saying that he does not charge converts anything, and that only the court, the rabbinical court, the Beit Din, where he takes the converts to, charge an amount, and I think he said it is up to $2,000, which is not exactly the claim that Rabbi Asher Meiser is making, that it's $10,000. And that basically, Kitzur, is what this whole recent controversy is about. Now, these controversies has been going on for quite a while, and many people that's maybe new to YouTube or new to these online rabbis don't understand where it all started. Now, it actually all started with Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, who is a rabbi that I have been following since 2011. He also inspired me to convert to Judaism, which I have done. I've also met him in person, and that's another point I want to make. A lot of these rabbis are a lot different in person than they are online. And I will be making a video of what Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi is like in real life. Now, Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi is controversial in very many modern Orthodox circles. He was going to give shiurim in England, and Rabbi Mervis, the chief rabbi of England, decided to oppose this move and labeled Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi as a radical, as a Holocaust denier, and various other claims, which is obviously not true. He got a few rabbis to sign a letter, and Rabbi Mizrahi was banned from that particular trip of entering the UK to give shiurim. This is where everything started, which many people just don't know. Rabbi Mizrahi then retaliated by making his own banned list of a few rabbis that he feels that their views or their hashkafa, their way of belief in Judaism, is not in line with the way that he believes or his hashkafa. Now, I want to tell you and make it very clear that there are various opinions in Judaism, and just because one rabbi says one thing and another rabbi says another thing doesn't mean that this rabbi is right and this rabbi is wrong. In actual fact, they could both be right, as there is quite a lot of opinions in Judaism and you can source either. And a lot of these rabbis are doing just that. But there's also different streams in Judaism, the way of belief, hashkafa. Many people subscribe to a certain rabbi because it adheres to their hashkafa. So Rabbi Mizrahi is Haredi Sephardic, and Rabbi Yaron Reuven follows Rabbi Mizrahi and is also Haredi Sephardic. So they have a similar view on things. I, for example, am Chardal, so I am between Haredi and Dati Lumi. Now the modern Orthodox view is still Orthodox, but they have incorporated a lot of modernity into their religion, which the Haredim do not agree with. And that's already where you can see where a rabbi that identifies as Haredi and a rabbi that identifies as modern Orthodox, where these two will disagree. What I do want to make very clear, and I've made it clear in some of my other videos, is both the Haredi rabbis and the modern Orthodox rabbis, both these agree you should keep Shabbos. You shouldn't break Shabbos. Both agree that you should keep kosher. Both agree that you should keep the laws of Nidah and various other halachic points which is critical in Judaism. There is a few minor points where they disagree on, and unfortunately these often becomes issues. Many of them are purely philosophical and is not really a halachic issue, but merely an issue in philosophy that you could believe in, you do not have to believe in. There is, like I say, various different opinions in Judaism. Now, what happened after first Rabbi Mervis banned Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi? Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi then put out a blacklist similar to the letter that Rabbi Mervis put up. Rabbi Yaron Reuven then followed suit. He does do a lot of things that Rabbi Mizrahi does. And what he started to do is add more rabbis to the list. And his list is going on and on as he receives new information. And that's the other point I want to make clear. Neither Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi or Rabbi Yaron Reuven listens to all the lectures and all the shurim of these controversial rabbis. They listen to the clips that their followers send them, and oftentimes in the clip it sounds like this rabbi that they then put on the blacklist is a heretic or saying something that is not conforming to their hashkafa or to Jewish belief in general. And that is something that I've always been saying on my channel, is you gotta listen to everything in context. You can't take a minute clip from Rabbi Mizrahi, who speaks for about 2.5 hours to 3 hours, and then base everything that he said on this 1 minute video clip. That will not be fair to the entire shiur or to Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi. That's also where a lot of the controversy started from Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, when he was speaking about the Holocaust and saying that not everyone that was killed in the Holocaust of the 6 million were halachic Jewish, meaning that their mother was Jewish, so then the person that was killed would also be Jewish, because many of them had Jewish surnames because the father is Jewish but he married a non-Jew, and this non-Jewish lady gave birth to a child, and this child is obviously then not halachic Jewish. Now, a lot of people said that he is denying the Holocaust, which he never ever did. He speaks more about the Holocaust than many other rabbis out there online, and this just proves to you that you can't listen to a small video clip, even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's 10 minutes, if this particular shiur was 2.5 hours to 3 hours, which is very normal for a Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi. Now I want to use that same concept with some of the rabbis that have been condemned by Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi and Rabbi Yaron Reuven. The same thing applies to them. I recently posted a video about is being anti-Israel, anti-Semitism. And I used the video from Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, who was also knighted by the Queen, so he's actually Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks, and he gives absolutely brilliant shiurim. Obviously, one of Rabbi Mizrahi's followers or one of Rabbi Yaron Reuven's followers sent a video clip to either of these two rabbis where he was having a debate with a complete atheist, a very popular atheist, and basically he was saying that the story of Adam and Eve, according to some opinions, can be a parable. And there is such an opinion in Judaism. It is a minority opinion, but it does most certainly exist. And I will pop the source of what I've just said in this video so that you can have a look for yourself that that source actually does exist. Again, it is a minority view, but it is one of the things he used in this debate with the atheist in a public forum to try to prove a point to this particular atheist. Now, obviously, Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, of blessed memory, is a modern Orthodox rabbi, and thus his hashkafa does not always agree, or his style of doing things does not always agree with the style of Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, who identifies as a Haredi rabbi, and thus there will be differences between the two. And that in Judaism is perfectly normal. Now, a lot of people on that particular video ask me, but how can you, who have been following Rabbi Mizrahi since 2011 until today, how can you post a video about a rabbi that Rabbi Mizrahi has put on a blacklist? Also, another question to add to this debate is, how can I follow Rabbi Yaron Reuven and Rabbi Mizrahi on YouTube and also follow Rabbi Asher Meiza on YouTube if it's now very public that Rabbi Yaron Reuven does not agree with Rabbi Asher Meiza? So how can that be? So to answer this question in short is, you can follow many rabbis on YouTube. That most certainly does not make that rabbi your rabbi. Pirkei Avot says you should make for yourself a rabbi. Now, this is a rabbi that you should have met in person, and you should also ideally learn with this rabbi once a week, once every 2 weeks, but this rabbi should know you well, and you should discuss various points with your rabbi. Because Judaism is so vast and there is a lot of information out there online from various rabbis, you need to have some clarity on some of the points that they raise. Also, all these online rabbis would advise you to make yourself a rabbi. Now, I did make a video of how to choose a rabbi, and I will link the video above. And in that video, I actually have a picture of Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi when I met him in person. But my rabbi is a local rabbi. His name is Rabbi Yitzchak Steinberg. He comes from a family of rabbis. His father is also a rabbi and a professor. He's also a doctor, a very famous doctor in Israel. And my rabbi is originally from Jerusalem, and he studied most of his life in yeshiva, and he is currently the head of the kollel of Ol Ari in Renana. So he's a very serious learner and a very serious Talmid Chacham, and I learn with him once a week. That is basically what you should do. You should find yourself a rabbi that you can clarify all these points with. So if you then hear online that a rabbi says that there is an opinion that the whole Adam and Eve story was a parable, then you ask your rabbi, is there such a source, or is there no such a source? And if your rabbi is a serious learner, he will most certainly give you the source and learn it with you, and also let you know that this is the minority view and this is the majority view, and in Judaism we follow the majority, and this is basically the way that we believe in Chardal. This is our hashkafa. Also then, when you get into a debate which currently is ongoing with Rabbi Asher Meiza saying that conversion is taking too long and it should be quicker, and he's having mass conversions at the beach, and Rabbi Yaron Reuven saying it is not in halacha to do such a thing, you can then ask your rabbi about it, and he will clarify the points for you with actual sources. And that's another point I want to bring across. Unfortunately, a lot of people these days want the Torah the easy way. So they listen to rabbis online, and they feel in that way they have learned Torah. And it's true, if you listen to a shiur, you do get rewarded for learning, because it is Torah after all, if there's not a lot of machloket going on. But the best way to learn is from an actual book. You need to buy yourself books, or you need to go on Sefaria, which is completely free, and you need to study it from the actual source. And you'll often see that the source would say one thing. Let's take the Mishneh Torah, which is from the Rambam, and often you'll see notes that yes, this is what the Rambam says, but this is what this and this source says. Then you take the next book, you learn that source. Now you have a lot of opinions that don't always agree with the Rambam. Then you go to your rabbi and you tell your rabbi, look, Rabbi, I've learned this in the Rambam, Mishneh Torah, and then I learned in another source, let's say Mishnah Berurah, which is the Ashkenazi source, saying something completely opposite. What should I make with this? And then your rabbi will study these sources with you and give you the final Pesak Halacha, the final law that you should be observing. Now, with this controversy that is going on is the conversion process. And I did make a video about this in the past, which I will link above, and that is, why does conversion take so long? And this will provide many answers to especially the subscribers and the followers of Rabbi Asher Meiza. Now, what Rabbi Asher Meiza is doing in this debate is using the Shulchan Aruch Yoreh Deah 268 CF2, which gives a much quicker process for conversion. And in my video where I speak about why does conversion take so long, I address all these points, and you can have a look at that video of why this halacha is no longer followed. And in that point, Rabbi Yaron Reuven is correct, according to my rabbi, and according to many rabbis out there in the world. Now, also I want to make a point very clear here, is many people for this whole controversy wants to condemn Rabbi Asher Meiza, and what often unfortunately happens is when these rabbis are involved in a dispute, a public YouTube dispute, they will often attack the other rabbis, shmicha. And basically they want to say that he is not a rabbi. The old way that people became rabbis is they learned for years under a certain rabbi, and when this student was good enough the rabbi that he learned from for many years would give him shmicha, which is basically placing the hand on the other rabbi and making him a rabbi, and there needs to be 2 witnesses, and then he becomes a rabbi. Now, modern day rabbis, or after the destruction of the Second Temple to make things a little bit easier, there is no such thing as a rabbi with actual shmicha, the old way that we used to do things. These days, it is a degree, or similar to a degree. You study in a yeshiva for, let's say, 7 years, and you study in kashrut, meat and milk, and you do a test, you appear before the Beit Din, and this Beit Din gives you shmicha. Now, one rabbi cannot remove another rabbi's shmicha. So, to say that this one is a rabbi and this one is not a rabbi, when both passed a Beit Din, a credible Beit Din obviously, an Orthodox Beit Din, then they are both rabbis, regardless if you disagree with them on halakha or hashkafa or philosophy. They are rabbis, this is their title. Now, Rabbi Asher Meiza is slightly different because he is a convert. He converted, he studied in a yeshiva in Jerusalem, in Israel. He got his shmicha here in Israel, and then eventually he moved to the United States. Now, a lot of his earlier videos, he is more aligned to the Haredi. He was probably in a more Haredi yeshiva. He says in many of his shirim that he went to various different yeshivas to get different points of view. Currently, he is a modern Orthodox rabbi. And obviously, his hashkafa then will differ vastly from Rabbi Yaron Reuven and even Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi. Also, the reason I'm telling you all this is because all these rabbis, Rabbi Alon Anava, Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, Rabbi Yaron Reuven, Rabbi Asher Meiza, they all have a very deep love for converts. They all have a massive following of converts. So, these rabbis agree on a lot more than what they disagree on. And that is what many people don't keep in mind. Many people get stuck on a certain point and they don't see the whole picture. Now, a lot of people also, unfortunately, listen to only one rabbi. And that then shapes their hashkafa. And in the Jewish world, that is not how we learn Judaism. This is not how we learn halakha. When we learn the oral law, for example, we learn from the Talmud. In the Talmud, there is a lot of rabbis mentioned. There is a lot of rabbis that disagree with each other, and they disagree with each other with a lot of passion. The most famous case in Judaism is obviously Rabbi Hillel and Rabbi Shammai. Now, these were the 2 greatest schools in the Torah world. And they disagreed with each other on almost every single point in Judaism. Where Rabbi Shammai says, this is the halakha, Rabbi Hillel said, no, this is the halakha. And today we paskin most of the halakha, most of the Jewish law we keep is from Rabbi Hillel. And many of the laws that we keep for Shabbos is from Beis Shammai. So we can see just with this simple example that these are 2 rabbis and 2 schools, 2 houses that disagreed with each other aggressively at times and very much publicly. But at the end of the day, we do say that both opinions, Hillel and Shammai, is correct. And both are the words of the living God. And I think this is what we should keep in mind when we hear of any controversy on YouTube. We should obviously listen to what both have to say, and then you should go to your rabbi, as Perkei Avot says, and it is halakha, that you should make yourself a rabbi. This is Jewish law. If you do not have a rabbi, you will be like a ship adrift in the sea, not knowing which way to turn. So I want to end off this video on a positive note by stressing that actually these rabbis, whenever you see a controversy online, have a lot in common. They have a lot more in common than what they disagree with. All these rabbis love converts, and they love Baal Tshuvas, and they want Jews to return to their Judaism, and they want converts that's sincere to convert and become part of the Jewish people. And there's always a few small points where this one will disagree with this one, and this one will disagree with that one. But what we got to keep in mind is the bigger picture, that in fact they believe in the same God, the God of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They believe in the same Torah that we got from God through the hand of Moshe, which is the Torah we have in our hands today. They all agree that the Shulchan Aruch is the codified book of Jewish law, and it is a book that we should follow and study. They all agree that there is different opinions on the Shulchan Aruch, which is clear just from the commentary of the Ramah, which is the Ashkenazi posek, which the Ashkenazim follow, and the Sephardim often do not follow that opinion. They agree on more than they disagree on. So I hope and pray that this video was clear. We should try our very best not to put fuel to a fire when there is a controversy. We actually say it every morning in Shachris that we should try to make peace between brother and brother, and since they are both Jews, whoever the controversy is about, regardless if they are rabbis or not, just two Jews, you should always try to make peace and try to bring across the point that we are all working on the same goal. We are all working towards the same goal, that we want people to be more observant, people to learn more about Judaism, people to be more rooted in their Judaism. And please God, we should all continue to learn, to grow, and to accept one another, and to realize that just because someone doesn't have the same opinion as me doesn't mean their opinion is completely incorrect. And I hope you all will continue to be blessed in everything that you do. Shabbat Shalom.